What if your life was a movie, and you were not just the star, but also the director, the writer, and the editor? Have you ever considered that the limitations you experience aren't reflections of an unchangeable reality, but rather a script you've unconsciously written for yourself? This isn't just a quirky thought experiment. It's the doorway to understanding how you wield immense power over your daily experiences, the power to rewrite the very nature of your reality. If you're ready to step beyond the role of a passive audience member in your own life, then prepare to embark on a transformative journey where you'll discover that the reality you perceive is nothing more than a mirror, reflecting your deepest assumptions. We are taught that the world is objective, a stage upon which we merely play out our roles, where things happen to us, not through us. This belief often leaves us feeling powerless, at the mercy of external forces, tossed about by the currents of circumstance, a victim of fate. But what if, instead of experiencing reality, you are actively creating it, moment by moment, through your deeply ingrained assumptions, those beliefs you hold so tightly that they become the lens through which you see the world? Consider this. If you've always assumed that you're bad with money, you might find that no matter how hard you try, financial difficulties always seem to find their way to you. Or if you carry an assumption that you're unworthy of love, you may consistently find yourself in relationships that are unfulfilling. This is not a cruel twist of fate, but a manifestation of your core assumptions, a living demonstration of the law of assumption. The mirror reflects exactly what you project. Every experience you have serves as a reflection of the scripts you've written, both consciously and unconsciously. These assumptions become the very fabric of our experiences, and the world around us is, in effect, a giant mirror reflecting these inner realities back to us. It's not that the world is happening to you, but rather that the world is responding to the beliefs you carry. So each reflection provides an opportunity for personal insight as well as growth. This understanding is what moves you from being an observer to becoming the very creator of your life story, stepping into the role of the empowered director of your own personal movie. Conventional beliefs often confine us to a narrative of limitation, where we believe that we're simply reacting to an external reality beyond our control. We're told that life is a struggle, that success is for the lucky few, and that we're all subject to the whims of an unpredictable world. This is the well-worn script of powerlessness that so many of us follow, accepting a narrative where limitations are externally imposed, never questioning whether these constraints are self-created. But what if the very concept of luck is a misconception? What if the good luck, or bad luck, that we experience is merely a reflection of the beliefs we hold about ourselves and our world? Consider someone who believes themselves to be unlucky. They might attribute a series of minor setbacks to their perceived bad luck, solidifying the belief even further. However, if we shift our assumptions, could we therefore shift our experiences? If we could change the script of bad luck, what else could we rewrite? Embracing the law of assumption isn't just about changing your thoughts. It's about changing your fundamental beliefs. It's about shifting from a view of a predetermined fate to an understanding of the immense personal agency we hold to shape our existence. The implications of the law of assumption reach far beyond a simple mindset shift. It's a fundamental mechanism influencing every facet of your life. Assumptions directly impact your health, influencing whether you experience robust vitality or persistent ailments. They shape the quality of your relationships, determining whether you find deep connection and joy or patterns of discord and dissatisfaction. And they even dictate your financial status, influencing whether you attract abundance or struggle with scarcity. For instance, someone with the deeply rooted assumption that they'll never have financial success may subconsciously sabotage opportunities and maintain patterns of limitation. The world mirrors their beliefs back to them, solidifying the story they have been writing all along. This is not to say that those challenges are an indication that the person is doing something wrong, but rather it's a feedback loop showing them which scripts they are currently running. Understanding the law of assumption is the key to stepping out of this cycle and reclaiming control of your narrative, rewriting it with intentionality, rather than unknowingly creating by default. Recognizing this is more than just a philosophical exercise. It's an invitation to step into a new reality, one where you consciously create your life experiences, as opposed to merely reacting to them. The understanding that we are active co-creators moves us away from the belief in a predetermined fate into a realm of limitless potential. While some remain stuck in the narrative of what is, others move into a space where they understand that what is can be shifted. It's a journey where we stop being passive recipients of life's events and begin to actively shape our personal experiences. Someone who embraces this new level of awareness will begin to look at their experiences in an entirely new light, no longer seeing themselves as a helpless pawn on life's chessboard, but as a powerful player who is directing the game. And this begins with the conscious understanding of the assumptions we carry. The moment we awaken to the fact that we have written the script, we can now begin to edit it with conscious intent. However, to truly harness this power, we need to understand the mechanics of an assumption and how deeply ingrained they can become. We need to understand that our world is, at its core, a reflection of our inner world. This is the beginning of the journey into the very heart of creation. Let's unpack what exactly an assumption is. An assumption isn't just a fleeting wish or a vague hope. It's a fundamental belief that operates on a subconscious level, shaping your thoughts, your actions, and therefore your experiences. It's a deeply ingrained conviction that you hold to be true, often without even realizing it. Consider an everyday example. If you assume that traffic will be bad during your commute, you might find that you tense up, perhaps take a longer route, and ultimately end up in a traffic jam. This isn't because traffic decided to be bad, but rather the assumption you carried dictated your behavior, which ultimately created the very scenario you feared. These assumptions act as invisible filters through which you perceive and interpret the world, which then create your specific experiences. They're not just thoughts. They're the underlying beliefs that shape your reality, often running silently, without your conscious awareness. But it's these underlying beliefs that then become the lens through which you perceive and interact with the world. The understanding of this interplay is the beginning of taking control of our lives, and understanding that our experience is never a random act, but a reflection of our beliefs. This understanding then leads us to see assumptions as self-fulfilling prophecies, where the mere belief in something makes it manifest in your experience. Your belief in the effect then creates the cause. This is clearly illustrated by the placebo effect in medicine, where a patient's expectation of a treatment's effectiveness can trigger a genuine physical response, even if the treatment is a sugar pill. The expectation of healing is so strong that it creates the biological reality, proving that your beliefs hold immense power over your physical experience. This power is not limited to our physical bodies alone, but extends into all aspects of our reality. So if a mere expectation can create real physiological changes, what else is possible when we understand the power of our deeply held assumptions? This is where the law of assumption is revealed, showing us that our inner world becomes our outer world, the intangible becoming the tangible. This gives us the keys to unlock the prison of perceived limitations and step into the freedom of creating with intent. Our reality is, in effect, a reflection of our assumptions, playing out like a dream state where our inner world is projected onto the canvas of our outer experiences. Just as a dreamer can shape and alter the landscape of their dream, so too can we influence the very nature of our reality, based on the assumptions we hold. If in a dream you believe you can fly, the experience is real, and if you believe you're trapped, you may struggle to move. Both experiences become real in the context of the dream. Similarly, if you carry the assumption that you're capable of achieving great things, your life may reflect success. And conversely, if you believe in limitations, your life experiences will mirror those restrictions. The external world is not the cause of our experiences, it is the effect. And this understanding allows us to step out of passive participation in our lives and into the awareness that we are the very architects of our personal reality. And with this new understanding comes a new responsibility. There's a continuous cause and effect pattern playing out between our assumptions and our experiences. The external world does not create our inner world, but rather our inner world creates our external world. This is not an external force dictating our reality, but the very essence of our own inner beliefs made visible. For example, if someone assumes that they are always going to be unlucky, they might find that they habitually experience setbacks. This isn't the result of a random string of events, but a manifestation of the assumption they carry about themselves and the world around them. They have already written the script, and their life will faithfully follow that script until it's rewritten with conscious intent. The law of assumption is not a passive philosophical concept, but an active creative mechanism. Your life will always reflect the assumptions you hold. Now that this pattern has been illuminated, what else is possible? What else are we unaware of that is shaping the world around us? But what if, beyond just individual experiences, there are even more profound implications yet to be revealed, suggesting an even deeper level of creation that we may not be aware of? What if our assumptions not only shaped our personal realities, but also contributed to a shared reality that we've collectively agreed upon? This question hints at a larger mystery, beyond the personal, hinting at a conspiracy of shared beliefs that we have collectively adopted. This new perspective offers a glimpse of understanding the potential to shift our individual experiences and also our collective reality. It's as if we're all participants in a collective dream, where our shared assumptions contribute to the shape and substance of the world around us. This opens the door to questioning everything we have ever assumed to be true. And if that is true, then what if the consensus beliefs we often accept are not objective truths, but rather shared assumptions? And what if by questioning these consensus beliefs, we could begin to rewrite not only our personal experiences, but the very fabric of the shared world that we inhabit? Are we simply accepting narratives that have been given to us? Are we living out stories that aren't even our own? These questions mark the start of a transformative journey, a journey that takes us from the mundane world of cause and effect into the realm of possibility and creation. We must now begin to ask ourselves if the limits we perceive are real or simply a reflection of a widely accepted assumption. What could be created if we all decided to dream a new dream? What would we create? This is the next step of our journey. Let's delve into the anatomy of an assumption, exploring what they are, how they work, and how they become the blueprints of our reality. It's not enough to simply understand that assumptions shape our experience. We need to dissect them to understand the mechanisms of how they operate. Think of your mind as a powerful computer, constantly running programs in the background. These programs are your assumptions, deeply ingrained beliefs about yourself, about others, and about the world at large. These assumptions operate much like lines of code, directing your thoughts, your feelings, and ultimately your actions. Just as a computer's operating system dictates the user experience, your assumptions determine the nature of your reality. For example, the assumption that I am not good enough can run like a virus, impacting your confidence, influencing your decisions, and ultimately shaping your life path. It acts as a silent program, subtly influencing your interactions, leading you to perceive experiences through the filter of inadequacy. This isn't just a thought. It's a deeply held conviction that colors your entire perception. It's this level of deep-rooted belief that becomes the very software that runs your unique reality. Now, it's essential to distinguish between fleeting thoughts and deeply rooted assumptions. A surface-level thought might be, I wonder if I'll get that promotion, while an assumption might be, I'm not capable of achieving my career goals. The former is a temporary consideration, while the latter is a deeply ingrained belief that dictates your entire career experience. One is a passing cloud, the other is the very ground you walk upon. Consider the difference between thinking, "I always get stuck in traffic," versus an underlying assumption of life is always hard. The first is merely an observation of an isolated event, but the second is a belief that colors your entire experience and will create that experience. While a passing thought might not have a lasting effect, a deeply held assumption operates constantly, shaping your reality through a constant process of manifestation. It's the difference between a fleeting observation and a deeply ingrained program that runs silently in the background, continually shaping your experience. This distinction is critical for you to recognize the power of your underlying beliefs, because it's those underlying assumptions that are the key to conscious creation and are the very script that is playing out, often unconsciously. Assumptions operate as self-fulfilling prophecies, creating the very outcomes they predict. It's like setting the GPS in your car. If you input the wrong destination, you're guaranteed to arrive at the wrong place. Similarly, if you expect failure, your actions, often subconsciously, will align with that expectation, creating circumstances to prove your initial assumption. The expectation of an outcome becomes the very cause of its manifestation. If you carry the assumption that you are prone to illness, you might find yourself experiencing ailments more often, not because you are inherently unwell, but because your expectation has shaped your reality. However, this can be used for good too. If you assume that you are capable of great health and vitality, your body and mind will align to make that your experience. The power of the self-fulfilling prophecy works both ways, and the moment you understand that your assumptions create your experiences, you can then begin to reshape your life by choosing more empowering assumptions. It is not that the world is happening to you, but that your assumptions are creating your world. Our reality is not a fixed, external landscape, but rather a mirror reflecting our deepest assumptions. Just as a mirror shows you the image you present, our lives mirror back the assumptions we hold, both consciously and unconsciously. Repeated patterns of financial struggle, relationship difficulties, or health issues aren't random events, but rather consistent reflections of underlying beliefs. If you believe that you're unworthy of love, you might find yourself in repeated patterns of unfulfilling relationships. This isn't a result of bad luck, but a mirror reflecting your deeply rooted assumptions. If you believe that you are inherently healthy and vital, you are likely to experience good health, even if you are facing a physical challenge. The mirror reflects exactly what is projected, and the reflection is not always pretty. But it's not meant to be a punishment. It is designed to give us information on the underlying programming that is running, so we can choose to rewrite the script. Understanding this mirror metaphor allows us to step away from the idea of an external world imposing itself upon us, and into an understanding that our world is nothing more than a reflection of our inner world. Now, let's explore how you can begin to rewrite your reality script and take control of your creative power. The first step is to identify your limiting assumptions, those deeply ingrained beliefs that are holding you back. This is the equivalent of finding the source code that needs to be changed. It's about becoming conscious of the programs that are running in the background that are shaping your daily experience. A powerful technique is to engage in journaling and reflective practices, asking yourself questions such as, when have I felt the most limited? Or what do I believe is absolutely impossible for me to do? These questions are designed to surface the beliefs that operate below your conscious awareness. This is not always easy, as many of these assumptions are deeply ingrained and can be difficult to recognize, but it's necessary to begin creating a new reality. Another practice is to meditate, observing your thoughts as they arise, and recognizing those that cause tension, those that make you feel small or unworthy. These are often the markers of underlying assumptions. Through consistent practice, you can begin to identify these limiting beliefs and begin the process of rewriting your script. Once you've identified those limiting assumptions, the next step is to consciously choose new assumptions that align with your desired reality. This is the equivalent of writing a new program for your personal experience. It's not about simply wishing for something different, but about actively choosing a new reality. This is where intentionality takes center stage, moving you from passive observer to active co-creator. It's about consciously choosing what you believe to be true, thereby changing the very fabric of your experience. Use affirmations, visualization, and emotional rehearsals to support this shift. For example, if you assume you're bad at public speaking, you can create a new assumption through affirmations such as, "I am a confident and engaging speaker." And through emotional rehearsal, you can begin to embody the feeling of confidently speaking in public. The key is to not just repeat empty words, but to truly embody the feeling of your desired reality. This is how the magic is brought into physical manifestation, when you feel the experience as real, long before it becomes real in the physical sense. However, the reprogramming process isn't always smooth. You may encounter resistance and doubts. Your old assumptions will try to defend their position because they are so deeply ingrained and have served you for so long, even if they are not beneficial. It's important to understand that this is a natural part of the process, as your mind tries to revert back to familiar patterns, so don't allow this to discourage you. Whenever doubts arise, return to your chosen assumptions and affirm them again, with even more feeling. If you are working on manifesting financial abundance, you may begin to have doubts that this is even possible, so return to your assumptions and begin to create new feelings of abundance. It is also important to recognize the difference between an assumption and a temporary feeling. A passing feeling of doubt doesn't cancel out the new assumption. Just as you wouldn't abandon a new diet after one meal, don't give up on a new assumption because you had a bad day. Consistent practice and self-compassion are key to navigating these challenges, allowing you to stay on course toward the reality you are choosing. Let's now consider some illustrative transformations, seeing how the law of assumption can play out in different areas of life. Imagine a person who has always assumed that relationships are difficult and painful. They might unconsciously choose partners that confirm this belief, perpetuating a cycle of disappointment. But by understanding the law of assumption, they could consciously choose the assumption that I am worthy of a loving and fulfilling relationship. Through affirmations, visualization, and emotional rehearsals, they begin to embody that feeling, and their reality begins to mirror that new belief. This is just one example of how shifting your assumptions can change the very fabric of your reality. Another person might assume that they are prone to illness, and they might experience frequent ailments. By choosing the assumption that I am naturally healthy and vital, they can begin to shift their physical experiences and live in a higher state of well-being. This is all down to the power of the law of assumption and the fact that your inner world creates your outer world. It is all connected. Now, let's expand our perspective beyond just individual creation. What if the assumptions we hold also contribute to a shared reality, a collective experience that we've all agreed upon, either consciously or unconsciously? This is a concept that invites us to question everything we have ever accepted as objective truth. Think of our shared reality as a giant tapestry, woven from the collective threads of our assumptions. Each thread, each belief, contributes to the overall pattern, creating a picture that we experience as reality. What if this default reality is simply the result of widely held assumptions that we've inherited, some positive and many deeply limiting? This shift in perception can show us not only our personal responsibility for creation, but also our responsibility as a collective to create a better world for all. If we have created this current experience through collective assumptions, could we therefore create a new experience if we shifted our collective assumptions? Consider the metaphor of the Matrix, a shared reality built upon consensus beliefs. Just like in the film, where the characters are plugged into a simulated world, we too are participants in a shared, matrix of beliefs that create our collective experiences. The assumption that money is scarce, for example, leads to societal structures that uphold that very belief, perpetuating cycles of economic inequality. The belief that human beings are inherently flawed can lead to structures that focus on control rather than empowerment. This matrix isn't a fixed structure, but a fluid, constantly evolving entity shaped by the shared beliefs we hold as a collective. But the more you understand how deeply ingrained these beliefs are, the more potential you have to change them. And this change begins with asking deeper questions about everything we have accepted as real. This awareness allows you to then step away from passively accepting the default reality and into actively choosing to create a new one. It is crucial to invite critical thinking and question all the narratives we have come to accept. Are societal norms and structures really fixed, or are they simply maintained by widely shared assumptions that have been passed down through generations? The belief that the Earth is a limited resource can lead to practices that deplete it, while the assumption that human beings are naturally flawed can lead to systems of control that limit our potential. These narratives, repeated endlessly, become the programming of the collective consciousness. The world will reflect back exactly what is projected, and if the projection is based on a narrative of scarcity, then the world will deliver scarcity. But when these dominant narratives are questioned, and new beliefs are introduced, we create new possibilities for our individual lives and also our collective experience. As more people begin to question the old assumptions, the more these old structures will begin to dissolve, giving way to the potential for a new, more empowered reality. And finally, let's explore the concept of conscious collective creation. If we can shape our personal experiences by consciously choosing our assumptions, what if we could do the same on a collective level? The understanding of the law of assumption invites you to think beyond your personal goals and into creating a new shared reality through a shift in collective consciousness. Imagine a world where the collective assumption is that we are all interconnected and that abundance is our natural state. What would that world look like? What would the structures of society be like? What would our experiences be like? This isn't just a utopian dream. It's a possibility that arises from shifting our collective assumptions. By focusing our intention on positive change, we begin to co-create a reality that reflects our highest potential. The matrix isn't a prison, but rather a canvas, waiting for us to paint a new masterpiece of collective human experience. This is where you step out of being an individual with the power of creation to become part of a collective with the power of creation. So let's bring all of this together. The central revelation, the core message that we have been exploring, is that your reality is not an objective truth, but a direct reflection of your assumptions. It's not that the world is happening to you, but that your assumptions are creating your world. Remember the mirror analogy. The external world is simply mirroring back your internal state, the deeply held beliefs that you carry. If you are experiencing limitations, those limitations are not imposed upon you, but are reflections of your own assumptions. For example, if you believe that financial abundance is only for a select few, your experiences will mirror that belief back to you. This isn't fate or bad luck. It's simply the law of assumption in operation, a mirror reflecting exactly what is projected onto it, offering you valuable insights into the beliefs you hold. It's a constant feedback loop, giving you the opportunity to become aware of the programs you are running and to rewrite them. The power to change any limitation lies not in changing external circumstances, but changing the assumption that creates them. The pattern we have been exploring is consistent and universal. It operates from your most individual experiences all the way to shared societal beliefs. It's the same mechanism at play, regardless of the scale. The assumption you have about your own abilities creates the experience of those abilities, while the assumptions shared within a culture create the collective experiences of that culture. Consider a limiting belief like, "I'm not creative." If that's an assumption you carry, You might find that your experiences continually confirm this idea, perhaps with moments where you feel blocked or struggle with creative projects. But this pattern isn't unique to this one aspect, it shows up everywhere. It is the same mechanism that can create success, or it can create limitation, depending on what you are assuming. This pattern plays out in all areas of your life, repeating itself until the underlying assumption is changed. Understanding how this pattern operates gives you the power to intentionally direct it towards experiences you desire. The law of assumption is a universal principle that applies to everyone, equally and consistently. We've journeyed from understanding what an assumption is, how it operates as a self-fulfilling prophecy, to seeing how it creates the very fabric of your reality. The idea of a self-fulfilling prophecy isn't just a psychological concept, it's the law of assumption in action. It demonstrates that our expectations create the very outcomes we experience, reinforcing the initial belief. This understanding moves you out of the position of a passive observer who simply experiences reality, and into the role of an active creator with the ability to intentionally choose your experiences. This shift in perspective is what allows you to step away from simply reacting to circumstance and into consciously choosing what you believe, becoming the author of your own reality. The understanding you've gained is not just an interesting theory, but a practical tool that you can use to create a more fulfilling life. This is the key that unlocks your creative potential, the realization that you are in control of the script, not just a character in someone else's story. And with this new understanding, you have the power to actively shift your current reality by consciously choosing new assumptions. You are no longer bound by the old patterns, and the limitations you once perceived as permanent are now revealed to be choices. You have free will. You have the power to choose what you believe to be true and create the experience of those beliefs. This awareness is what transforms you from a victim of circumstance into a conscious co-creator of your experience. This understanding is what allows you to step away from the default experience and begin to write your own story, creating your own experience. It's time to take ownership of your narrative and create your life with intention. This is not wishful thinking. It's a powerful realization of your creative potential, and you are ready to make those new choices. Now, let's take this concept into a broader context, connecting the law of assumption to our shared human experience. The reality that we experience as a collective is also a reflection of the assumptions we hold as a society. Collective beliefs shape the reality we all experience, and those shared beliefs can either limit us or empower us, depending on the beliefs we are holding. Expand on the idea of the matrix. It is not just an external force that controls us, it's a reflection of our collective assumptions. Just as your individual reality mirrors your individual beliefs, our collective reality mirrors the collective beliefs we hold. If, as a society, we assume that resources are scarce, this belief will create a reality of scarcity and competition. If we assume that conflict is inevitable, we will create experiences that continually confirm that belief. But these assumptions are not set in stone. They are choices we can consciously change. This opens up the possibility for social change through a shift in collective consciousness, not through external force, but by changing the beliefs that underpin our reality. The interconnectedness of individual and collective assumptions reveals that our personal choices have a ripple effect. Every assumption you change, every new belief you embody, impacts the collective consciousness, creating a shift in our shared experiences. If you assume that you are worthy and abundant, you are not only creating that for yourself, but also contributing to a world that reflects those qualities. This ripple effect is a powerful force for change, demonstrating how individual transformation can create a shift in collective experience. If enough of us believe in the possibility of a more equitable, abundant, and compassionate world, that is the world we will experience. Every single assumption matters, and each one of us is responsible for the choices we are making, as these choices impact far beyond your personal experience. The law of assumption isn't just a personal tool. It's a means to create a new, more empowered collective reality. Understanding the law of assumption means taking full responsibility, not just for your individual experiences, but also for the shared experiences of the world around you. This is where the rubber meets the road, where understanding transforms into action. This means that you are not just responsible for creating your own abundance, but also for contributing to a world where abundance is available for all. The knowledge you've gained invites you to use your creative power not just for personal gain, but also for collective betterment. When we understand our role as active participants in the creation of our reality, we are empowered to begin consciously shaping that reality with intention, and not simply be a passive recipient of a default world that was created by previous generations. This understanding shifts everything, making you a conscious creator of your world, and that creative power extends not just to your individual life, but to the very fabric of our collective existence. With all this now in focus, your understanding of reality has been transformed. The law of assumption is not just a theory, but a fundamental truth about how reality operates and your role within it. It demonstrates that the world you experience is a direct reflection of your inner world, your assumptions and beliefs. No longer are you a passive observer. You've been awakened to your creative potential, and that creative potential extends beyond personal experience. You are an active creator, and your journey is just beginning. This understanding shifts the ground beneath your feet, creating a new foundation for how you view yourself and the world, and a new understanding of the immense power that you possess. You are not just a character in someone else's story. You are the author of your own life, and you get to choose the script you play out. Let's now address some of the questions you may have had throughout this journey and provide conclusive answers through the lens of the law of assumption. Remember the initial questions and mysteries we explored. Why do some people seem to experience abundance while others struggle? Why do certain patterns repeat themselves? The law of assumption has been the lens through which these mysteries are resolved. We can now clearly see how our assumptions are the very cause of our experiences. Every question about the nature of reality, every perceived limitation, can now be understood as a reflection of a deeper assumption. So let's revisit some key terms. Assumption is a belief that creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. Matrix is the collective set of assumptions that make up our shared experience, and reality is the mirror that shows back exactly what is projected onto it. Understanding these key concepts provides a complete picture of your creative power. And let's revisit those powerful analogies and how the law of assumption directly ties into those consistent patterns of reality. The movie script, the dream state, the mirror. These are not just analogies. They are metaphors for the structure of reality itself. Your life is a script that you are constantly writing through your assumptions, and your experiences are exactly what you've assumed them to be. Your life is like a dream, a projection of your subconscious beliefs, and when you shift those beliefs, you shift the dream. And like a mirror, your world reflects back to you exactly what you project onto it, your assumptions, your beliefs, and your expectations. By recognizing this consistent pattern and how it operates throughout all of your experiences, you can begin to take control of your creative power and reshape your reality. The consistent application of this law is what transforms your experience. Consider the examples we've used previously: health, relationships, finances, each demonstrating the consistency of this law in shaping your experience. The law of assumption is not some isolated idea. It's a fundamental law of the universe. You may still have lingering questions or doubts that have arisen throughout this process, and those very doubts are based on assumptions that can be changed. Perhaps you're thinking, this all sounds too good to be true. And this is a natural response for most, considering how deeply conditioned we are to believe in limitations, so let's address it directly. It's not about hope or wishful thinking. It's about actively assuming the reality you desire. Hope is passive. Assumption is active, an embodiment of a new belief. When you embody the assumption of your desired reality, you are aligning your inner world to that new outcome, and this is the core principle of the law of assumption. You aren't hoping for something. You are experiencing it long before it manifests in the physical realm. So even the doubts you have about this concept are based on assumptions, and those too can be transformed with conscious intention. So embrace this understanding and know that the law of assumption is not some rigid system, but rather a fluid tool, inviting you to experiment, play, and discover your unique creative power. The key is practice, to embody these new assumptions and to rewrite the limiting beliefs that have kept you stuck. It's about getting comfortable with the process, knowing it takes time, and that transformation is not always linear, but it is always possible. You don't need to have all the answers right now, but you do have the ability to create a new reality from this moment forward. Personal exploration is the best method for understanding this concept, and by continually returning to the practice, your understanding and experience of the law will become clearer, more powerful, and more effortless. You have all the tools you need, right here and right now. And as we come to the close of this exploration, let's open up into new questions to inspire further self-inquiry. What kind of reality can we create if we assume the best in ourselves and others? What if the limitations we've always accepted were simply a set of assumptions we collectively agreed to? And what would be possible if we shift those assumptions with intention? What if the seemingly impossible was just an old belief that we can release? The law of assumption is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning, inviting you to expand your creative power beyond your current understanding and into the realms of infinite possibility. It is an invitation to continually explore the implications of this knowledge and how to apply it in various aspects of your life. And with each question, you open up into a more profound understanding. There are far-reaching implications to the law of assumption, hinting at deeper connections to other metaphysical concepts and ancient wisdom, and we have only just begun to scratch the surface. We've touched upon ideas such as collective consciousness and manifestation, hinting at possibilities far beyond what we have covered here today. The potential for deeper exploration into the nature of reality, into our creative potential, is vast, and I am truly excited about where this journey takes us. The understanding you've gained today is merely the first step on a path of continual learning and expansion. The deeper you dive into this, the more magical reality becomes, and the more you realize your own potential to shape it, intentionally, consciously, and with a full awareness of the great power you hold. There is always more to discover, and finally, this knowledge is a call to action. It's an invitation for you to actively engage with this material, to share your experiences, to ask questions, and to join a community of like-minded individuals committed to consciously creating their world. The real power of this knowledge is not in passively understanding it, but in actively using it. So share your story, ask questions, and become part of a collective that is dedicated to creating a more empowered world. And if there is a question you are holding, it is likely someone else's too. There is power in sharing this knowledge and in creating a collective intention. It's important to remember you aren't alone on this journey. As we conclude, remember this: your reality is waiting to be defined. What will you assume now? This journey has only just begun. I hope you found this information helpful, and I am truly grateful for the opportunity to share this with you.